Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am excited to finally get back in the hangar. It's been 2 weeks since I've done anything on the airplane. I've just been too busy with work and in the holidays, but I am back in the hangar for at least 9 days and I plan on getting a lot done. Now in this video, I'm jumping ahead a little bit and starting on the fuselage, and I'm going to show you why I'm starting the fuselage today instead of finishing up some of the little details on the wing. Now I was hoping when my dad was here for Thanksgiving that we could have finished up some of these flaperon pieces. But finishing these up is more than a two-person job. This edge, the forward leading edge of the flaperon pieces, has to be bent back using this piece of wood just like this. On my cruiser, this was fairly easy to do. I don't know if the skin is thicker on the Super Duty, but this forward skin here is extremely difficult to bend back and then line up these holes to put in clecos. So I'm going to wait until I have about 2 or 3 people to put their hands on the wood and help bend it back. And the reason why it's so hard to do is because when you bend it back, you don't just have to bend it back, but you have to kind of push it in. And that's why I have these 2x4s you can see screwed to the workbench. That is just to give the aft edge a solid surface to press up against, so that when this wood is, trying to pull this back, the flaperon won't slide back. So anyway, I'm going to leave these until I can get some more help. So I have to wait until a few people can come over and help with this. So then I figured if I'm not going to work on the flaperons, maybe I will get the plastic wingtips mounted to the ends of the wings. These are the big plastic wingtips, and they will need cut out along the edge, which is pretty easy to do. But the reason now that I'm not going to do the wingtips is because I want to secure these wingtips with little tiny sheet metal screws. On my cruiser, I riveted the wingtips to the wing, which is fine. But on the Super Duty, I want to attach them with little sheet metal screws so that they are removable. All right, so here's the wingtip. Obviously, it goes on like this after this edge is trimmed off. And the reason I want to make this removable is for 2 reasons. One is for painting. On my cruiser, my wingtip was riveted on, so I didn't have access to this side to hold it for painting. So I hung the wing by the flaperon brackets for paint, and it worked fine. But I think on a Super Duty wing, I would like to paint it flat. So, or maybe even put it on like a rotisserie so I can rotate it. So I may be able to use the end spars here as a way to support the wing. And obviously I can't do that if this wingtip is riveted on. The other reason I want to have this removable is because with the leading edge slats on here, I'll have the Aero LED recognition lights. So there will be a wire coming in through the leading edge of the wing and then connecting to this wire here. So once I have the slats attached, I'll push the wire from the slat through the wing and then put connectors on the wire, connect it together, and then I can put the wingtip on and screw it to the tip. I could also, I thought about cutting an access hole in the wingtip, and that would work just fine too, but I think I'd rather not do that. I'd rather just have the wingtip removable. And I have a couple very, very small sheet metal screws that would work great for this. The problem is I only have like 4 of them, and I need probably, I don't know, about 100 of them. So I need to get those screws first, because I can't, even if this was cut out right now, I can't mount this in here, because once I put it in and position it, normally you would drill through the holes are already in the skin, but you drill through those holes into the plastic and put a cleco and work your way around. But even the smallest clecos I have, the hole for that would be too big in the plastic for the sheet metal screws, because I want the sheet metal screws to actually thread into the plastic. Really all I could do today is cut out the edge here, but I figured I might as well wait until I can actually work on the entire wingtip and finish it up before I even get this started. What I need to do first is find the screws. I need to find out where I got those other screws, order about 100 more, and then I'll be ready to finish up the wingtips. Now there's one other very important reason why I want to start on the fuselage today. And that is because remember what happens when you're in the hangar working on something you don't really want to be working on, or doing something you don't really want to do, or you're working and you don't really feel like it. You screw parts up. And honestly, right now, I really want to get started on the fuselage. It's just, for me, it's an exciting part of the airplane to build. It's the body of the airplane. It's really cool when you get it up on the landing gear. So for a while now, I've just been wanting to get the fuselage started. So I can't really do the flaperons until I get a couple people for help. I can't do the wingtips until I find my screws and then get that ready. So I figured this is just a great time to get started on the fuselage. So let's get to it. To get started on the aft fuselage, I've just randomly chosen the bottom half of the fuselage, and that's what's on the workbench now. Now you will notice that this bottom fuselage looks like it's pre-assembled, and it is. It's not completely riveted. There's only a few rivets in all of this holding it together. You could think of it as being tack welded together. I asked Zenith about this because even the center section of the fuselage, I was really surprised when I took it out of the crate that it's pretty much already pre-built. Zenith told me that they were doing this for a limited time. These fuselages for the Super Duty are built up at Zenith in Canada. And I guess all of the parts coming off the CNC machines, they wanted to make sure they fit, so that they were, in order to make sure they were fit, they pre-built part of the fuselages just, I guess, as a test run on the first however many kits. So if you order a Super Duty, yours may or may not come like this. Honestly, I think it's a bad idea to pre-build it, and I'll show you why. Now, it's true that having it pre-built does save a lot of time. Theoretically, you should just be able to shoot the rest of the rivets in here and be done. However, the problem is none of the holes are deburred. You know, these holes right here have a massive burr on it. Like if you ran your fingers over this roughly, or you'd cut your fingers. On the longerons here, none of these holes are deburred. There's a huge burr on the back. Now, one of the things I did find about the Zenith kits, or the way these are made or drilled, is if the drill bit goes in, say this way, then these holes here, a lot of them don't need deburred. It's a nice clean hole. But where the drill bit exits going in the back, then there's always a big burr back there. So, you know, these holes right here, like a lot of these I'm feeling they don't even need deburred. Some of them, like this one here, has just a very slight burr that you could take off. So, you know, what is deburred on here and what isn't? I know these are very rough. These, I actually deburred these yesterday, but these were really rough here. I deburred all these holes. But how about the holes on the skin and the underside of this, you know, that are smashing together? Are those holes deburred? I really don't know. The only way to know is to take these pieces off and check. So all of this stuff that they pre-built, you know, I got to take apart now and just to deburr the holes. So I think it's really, in my opinion, a bad idea for Zenith to pre-build these. If they're going to pre-build it, they really need to make sure they have all of the holes deburred. So anyway, that is what I'm going to work on today. It's not a big deal. Like I said, a piece like this only has 2 rivets in it, so I can just drill out 2 rivets, take it apart, deburr the holes, and put it back together. So let's get started. All right, I flipped the bottom skin over on the workbench, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove this triangle piece that's on the bottom side now. So I need to drill out 1, 2, 3 rivets, and then this will come apart. The other thing is, once I get that apart and I drill these 2 rivets out, I'll be able to lift this skin up and see how the holes are on the bottom side of the skin and then on top side of this stringer to see if they are deburred or if they need deburred. So let's do it. Drilling a rivet out is pretty easy. The first thing I do is tap the stem out, or at least push it down a little bit. Then use the appropriate size drill bit to drill off the top of the rivet head. Once that breaks off, just like that, then I get a larger punch and you can punch the rivet right out through the bottom of the hole. All right, I've drilled these 3 rivets out. Here is the aluminum piece from the bottom, and yeah, I don't think the holes were deburred. You can tell the drill bit went through this way though, because there's just a very tiny burr on these holes. And of course on the bottom here, there's a fairly large burr. But still, I'd still like to take a deburring tool and clean this up a little bit. Now, as far as the skins, I can see on the bottom of the skins, these holes are not deburred. It looks like it's hard to tell on the actual the stringer here. These feel pretty smooth, and I think that's just because the drill bit went that way on the stringer. But I can definitely tell on the bottom of the skin, these holes are not deburred. So I will take it all apart and clean them up. I've noticed that sometimes on thicker pieces of aluminum, the holes have a really large burr, and it's too much of a burr to remove with that little spinning deburring tool. They kind of have to be removed with a file. So what I'm doing here is I'm being careful to scratch the aluminum the least amount I can. But I'm cleaning up the large part or most of the burr off of the holes with a file. And once I'm done with the file, then I'll go back and just finish it up with the deburring tool. Now while I have this piece out, I wanted to file down the edges of this hole here because the edges haven't been cleaned up, so they have a burr on them also. So sandpaper just around the corners takes it off real nice. I'm also sanding the entire surface because I do plan on priming this piece. Now I'm using some MEK to remove the Cortec corrosion prohibitor that the factory applies. I'm glad that they do put this on here. If you're not going to disassemble and deburr, then at least it is already primed. But I don't like this stuff. It's just, to me, it's too thick and uneven. So I figured I might as well just clean it off and shoot a nice even coat of primer on it. Once I have the part all cleaned up, I did want to file the edges of the piece smooth. And then, so I'm using the file here, and then I touch it up with sandpaper, and I get a real nice clean edge. All right, this piece is ready to go. It's sanded smooth, it's deburred, it's cleaned, and now it's just time to shoot some primer on it. So here's my two pieces here. This is the one I've taken off and cleaned up. This is the one I've actually just removed right now and haven't done anything to. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to ask, or at least you're thinking to yourself, is this necessary to do? Well, I'm not building your airplane. I can't answer that question for you. For me, when you look at these two pieces, when this one here has all the holes perfectly deburred, the edges are nice and smooth, it has a nice even finish on it, and you compare it to this one that has a brush on, rough, uneven surface. The edges right here have not been cleaned up. The holes you can feel still have a bit of a burr on them. Which one do you like better? Personally, I like this one better. I feel a lot better putting this on the airplane than I do this piece. Now, again, this is where I wish Zenith would not pre-build this, because it's a little bit more work to actually take it apart, clean off all this Cortex or Cortec, whatever this is. It'd be easier if this was just a blank piece of aluminum that I could take out of the box, deburr, clean up, prime, and install. So my suggestion to Zenith will be to not do this. Like I said, I'm not sure if they still are pre-building these parts. I would very much prefer that they don't. All right, I have both of those pieces done. And now what I'm going to do is, there's about 5 or 6 rivets that hold this longer on to the skin. And I want to remove it so that I can deburr the holes on the bottom here. The holes actually on the longeron feel pretty good. I don't even know if they need deburred, but the bottom of these holes, like right here, that's a pretty big burr on there. So some of these have some big burrs. But one of the things I wanted to point out that I just noticed is these are all A5 rivets up until here. I just drilled this one out and one up there. And then going back here, they're A4 rivets. So as you drill these out, make sure you have the correct drill bit on your drill. It looks like all these ones going aft, all the way back, will be A4s. All right, I've just drilled out the last hole, or the last rivet in the back. So I do have this longeron piece separate now. And actually the holes aren't too bad on here. Every once in a while right here, I'll find a burr, but most of the holes are pretty good on here. I do still feel a lot of burrs on the bottom of these holes. So I can get this cleaned up. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna take off this Cortec and then I'll use my primer for these. I'll deburr all the holes, clean them up, and then this will be ready to go. The outside of these pieces, the longerons or longerons, whatever they're called, this is the side that the drill bit goes in. So the holes are fairly clean. There's just a very slight burr, and it's quick just to go down there with a half a turn of the deburring tool just to remove any remaining burr that's still on them. And because I just want to start fresh with these, I'm also removing the Cortec primer that they've installed. And MEK takes this off pretty nicely. So I'll clean up this entire longeron. And then after I'm done removing this, I'm going to clean up the ends. The last step in order to get these ready for primer is to clean up both ends. You can see here they were cut with a saw at the factory and nobody made any attempt to clean up these edges. You can't leave them like that, so I'm using a file to clean the edges and smooth them up. I'll also round the corners just very slightly just to take off that sharp 90-degree angle. I don't like any of my aluminum pieces to have sharp edges or corners. Once that's all done, I use sandpaper. This is 320 grit I'm using just to really polish it up and clean it up nice and smooth. And that will get the finishing touch on it. That will finish this end. I'll do the other end and then scuff it up, clean it with alcohol, and shoot a coat of primer on it. Well guys, I'm going to finish up doing what I just did on that side to the other side, get all these parts ready. When I get everything ready to rivet back together, I'll check back in with you. But for now, I guess there's not much else to show you on here. It's good to be back in the shop. I'm excited to actually get started on the fuselage. Hopefully before we know it, this thing will be up on the gear and looking pretty cool.